Hello from the Dukascopy TV studio in Geneva. Is your money really as well managed as the bankers say, and can you easily manage your performance of your deposits? That is the question, and I have Mr. Nicolas Hochstädter here in the studio. He is founder of Investment by Objectives. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
So, how can people really find out how if their money is managed well, and why is more transparency needed in the private banking these days?
Yeah, good question. In fact, first of all, transparency is not even more needed today. It was needed yesterday, it's needed today, and it will be needed tomorrow. If you want to have the confidence of your client, you need to be transparent and show the results of your performance and of whatever you do. So now to find out about your performance is not always easy. But nevertheless, it has to be easy to understand. So the idea is to bring inside the today environment an easy way to assess your performance and to easily understand it.
And so you launched a service called Performance Network. What were your motivations to launch this service?
In fact, it didn't start really with a tool. It really started with a service to private clients. The idea was, in fact, to help them to define their objectives and see what is done for them in a bank, and then to be able to perhaps redefine their objectives and then to follow this easily. So to follow that, you need a tool, and this tool we've created is called Performance Watcher. And so the first motivation for this tool was to, out of a promise that was made by a bank and the objective that we commonly set it with the bank, to have a tool simply to follow what was going on. The idea is keep it simple. It has to be simple to understand and to show exactly the same message to the bank, to the client, and to whoever supervises this relation. So in fact, it started like that, a very simple tool, keep it simple. And then this tool, in fact, was also seen by other people, other clients, and they quite liked the way that we presented performance. And so we've decided then to give this information and this tool to other people. You have to see that the DNA, the idea of the whole system is that we don't sell it, we give it. So in fact, you participate to this effort, joining the Performance Network, and then in exchange, you receive the evaluation of your performance. And I think this is very important in the today business. In fact, now it looks hype, but this idea is already 10 years old. But the idea really is to say whoever has money managed, whatever the amount, whatever your knowledge in the banking sector, you have to be able to evaluate and compare simply. And the last step after Performance Corner was to create Performance Network, even if you don't participate yourself with your own portfolio. The idea is to, in an open source way, to present performance, the IPO Index, and to present the rankings of whoever is doing money management in an open source, in a free website.
So it's a way to evaluate and compare the performance of your investments. Are there similar services out? What are your competitors out there?
In fact, as you understand, the first idea was not really to create a company to sell anything, a tool or whatever. We, in fact, didn't really thought about competitors in the beginning. So there are other companies creating indices, trying to assess performance, etc. But in my knowledge of the actual market, we don't really have any competitors. Because what we do is kind of unique, because we are on one hand clients, we are clients for banks, and on the other hand, my father, my brother and myself used to work in banks. So we know quite well the two sides of the mirror. And the idea was with Performance Network really to bring something that is a step towards transparency, which is the DNA of our family. So we might have competitors, and we will be very happy to have them or to join what they do, because we will then not see them as competitors, but people who are then, joining this movement and making it bigger and larger.
So this movement towards more transparency in the banking sector. And there is like one key tool in the performance network which is called Perform-Meter. One question, like how do you actually measure performance? How do you take risk and return into account?
Yeah, that's a key issue. The idea is, once more, to keep it simple. The problem is often measuring performance is quite complicated. People talk about benchmark, contribution, attribution, a lot of figures, mathematics are behind that. So the idea was to say, if I had to present all my family accounts to my daughters, they were by that time 8 years old, is it possible to show them all these portfolio and they would be easily able to understand which portfolio is performing well or not. So then the idea of the Perform-Meter came. In fact, Perform-Meter is a quite easy way to show your performance. Is it good or bad? In fact, it shows sunny weather, as you can see in this example, which is a very good example of one of our portfolio. But the idea here is to, in a simple way, show a quite complex thing, which is performance adjusted by risk of your portfolio against a performance adjusted by risk of an index, which we call ourselves the IPO Index, and then show what we call normally the M square. So you see very complicated words, but showing it in a very simple way. So sunny weather, and now it means that your performance is going well, but then it's always relatively to something, and then you have a very simple text that explains the level of your performance, the level of your risk, and this compared to the people who are investing like you.
So there's one question probably a lot of people now have. So it's, in order to participate, you need to share your data from your accounts. Is that really safe? How can people be sure that their data is not misused?
Yeah. So once more, in our family, transparency was always very important, yet never against confidentiality. So all what we do is totally confidential and anonymous. So we found a way how to work with banks and to get the data of a client in a totally anonymous way. So what we get from a client is his data, obviously, but only what we need, meaning the total amount on a daily basis and in and outflows. But then what we receive from a bank is an IBO number, unique, totally anonymous, and only the bank and the client knows about the relation in between the IBO number and the deposit account. So even ourselves, we don't know who are the client behind. No possibility for us to know.
Okay. So last question. This performance network contributes to more transparency in the banking sector. Do you also see it as a contribution towards the Swiss banking sector, towards Swiss banking 2.0?
That's a big word. It all started with a small initiative of private clients. So the dimension is taking, all of that is taking today is a little bit overwhelming. You see, I think obviously we try to help to go in the right direction. We have all the interest in the world that the Swiss banking sector continues to be very wealthy. We work a lot with banking sectors, and mainly our company now is more and more working for the banking sector. So that's it, that's the idea. I think it's time for transparency, that's clear, but not with all means. The idea is to bring transparency, but in a Swiss way. I think Switzerland is doing a very nice job. I have the opportunity to travel a lot and see other bankers, and not only in Switzerland. I think we do a very good job in Switzerland, and it's time for the rest of the world to know how good Switzerland is.
Nicolas Hochstädter from Investment by Objectives with your service, the Performance-Network.net. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching. Do make sure to keep clicking back on the Dukascopy TV website for latest updates and exclusive interviews. Have a great day and see you next time.